Yo, what is good people? Ben from Love Roof Tech, and we are back with another video. This time is a camera comparison. The S23 Ultra versus the Pixel 7 Pro. I'm going to test it in daylight and low light for pictures and videos to see how the camera comparison between these two are like. Let's run through the specs and come back to the camera comparison. Let's do a quick breakdown of the camera hardware and specs, starting with the S23 Ultra. It is built on a quad rear camera system with the main 200 megapixel HP2 sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra wide with improved autofocus, a 3x 10 megapixel zoom, and a 10x 10 megapixel zoom with a new 12 megapixel selfie. The Pixel 7 Pro is working with a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 48 megapixel 5x periscope zoom with a 10.8 megapixel ultra wide selfie. The best way to watch this camera comparison is at the highest resolution and frame rate at 4K 60, and also on a large display with headphones to listen out for the audio. There will be chapters in the description below, but sit through and watch through. This is going to be a good detailed one. So we're starting with the front facing camera in 4K UHD 60 frames a second. It's a nice sunny day today, so it's a good test of dynamic range, colors, sharpness, detail, and of course dynamic range and stability. Quick run. And we've now switched to the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode and the selfie. And again, just seeing how the image quality, performance, and the stabilization, sharpness, and detail changes. Quick run. So we're still recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode, but with the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, it is using the video portrait effect, which now can record in 4K. The cinematic video for the Pixel 7 Pro is only limited to the main camera at the back and not on the selfie. If you look at what the Samsung can do, you can actually change the blur and reduce it while you're recording. The default is 5, you can add more blur, and you can obviously, of course, go through different blur effects. You can't change it after you finish recording, which I would much prefer, like you can do on the iPhone, but at least there's a level of control before and during the recording, and being able to do that now in 4K with stabilization, which you cannot do any of this on a selfie camera on the Pixel 7 Pro. We are now in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the rear cameras, starting off the main sensor. Again, just seeing how the image quality, dynamic range, stability, detail all look like. Quick run. Let's switch to the ultra wide on both. Smooth transition on both. Quick one, not ultra wide. Let's move back to the main sensor. Now, what we have here is the 2x on the Pixel, 3x on the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now we're going to move over to the 5x. Snap transition change. You can see that it further zooms in. You can see the distance there. Let's move back to the main sensor on both. Now, what's interesting in how they handle flexibility while shooting in 4K 30 is it's really good on both. Both can actually pause recording and continue on the same clip. You can take pictures on the same clip and switch between all the lenses at the back in 4K 30. The advantage Samsung has with the S23 Ultra is that you can switch to the selfie while on the same clip. And again, this level of flexibility in 4K 30 frames a second is still one of the best you're gonna find from any manufacturer. And would love to see this on the Google Pixel 7 Pro. We are now recording in the 4K UHD 60 frames a second video recorder mode, starting off with the main sensor. And again, just seeing how the image quality changes, the dynamic range, the sharpness, the detail, and the stabilization as well. Quick run. here's a couple of analysis in recording in 4K 60 frames a second that is very different on both. As much as the S23 Ultra can record in 4K 60 on all the lenses, including the ultra wide, the main, the 3x and 10x zoom and selfie, you cannot switch between the back lenses while recording in 4K 60 unless you completely stop recording and start a fresh clip. Whereas on the Google Pixel 7 Pro, see for yourself, while in 4K 60 you can record and switch to the ultra wide, 1x, 2x and the 5x periscope zoom, which you can see the switch right there. Pause recording, take pictures, come back to the main. The only advantage Samsung still has here is that you have the ability to switch to the selfie, at least still in 4K 60. Please Samsung, let us do the same for the rear cameras, like what you can do in the Pixel. And also Google, since you've been able to hack this flexibility in 4K 60, allow us to also do the same and switch to the selfie. We're gonna stop recording and switch to the ultra wide and test it for the Samsung. And we've switched to the ultra wide in 4K UHD 60 frames a second, specifically for the benefit of the S23 Ultra, as it cannot simultaneously do it, which, as demonstrated again, you can do that no issue on the Pixel 7 Pro with smooth lens transitioning. Quick run. Still in 4K UHD 60 frames a second, we're now on the 3x zoom versus the 5x zoom on the S23 Ultra versus the Pixel 7 Pro. So we've now switched to 4K UHD 60 frames a second on the 10x zoom on the S23 Ultra versus the 5x zoom on the Pixel 7 Pro. We are now recording in the 8K 30 frames a second video recording mode on the S23 Ultra versus 4K 30 on the Pixel 7 Pro. And again, just seeing how the detail, sharpness, field of view, stabilization looks like in 8K. Quick run. So we are now in Samsung's super steady mode versus the active video stabilization on the Pixel 7 Pro. And with Samsung now, they've added the option of a 2560 by 1440p QHD option in 30 and 60 frames a second, up from the 1080p. And we're on the ultra wide right now. And this is the same for the Pixel 7 Pro. Heavy movement and heavy run. We'll see how the stabilization looks like. X, 2x on the Pixel, another run. So we're testing out the 4K 30 frames a second video recording mode on the rear cameras. First with the main sensor, just seeing how with me in the subject, how it handles skin tones, accuracy, detail, dynamic range, and obviously we've seen the stabilization already. So we're going to switch to the ultra wide now. And as you can see, both can switch to the ultra wide in 4K 30 frames a second, one on the same clip, seeing how the image quality changes. And we're in 4K 60 frames a second, starting on the main camera sensor, seeing how the image quality changes. Obviously on the Pixel 7 Pro, you can switch to the other lenses at the back while in 4K 60. You can't do that for the Galaxy, so let's just see the main sensor, then we'll switch it after. So we are now on the ultra wide for the 4K 60, seeing how the image quality changes while on both cameras. And we are now in the 8K video recording mode on the S23 Ultra versus 4K 30 on the Pixel 7 Pro. Let's see how the quality is like. We are now in the video portrait mode on the S23 Ultra versus the cinematic on the Pixel 7 Pro. Again, 1080p 24 on the main camera versus 4K UHD 30 frames a second on the main camera. Let's just see how the image quality is like. We are now in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recording mode for the selfie. Again, just seeing how the low light performance is like between the S23 Ultra and the Google Pixel 7 Pro. Now we are in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recording mode on the rear cameras on both these. Just seeing how the low light performance is like. And we'll switch to the ultra wide. Back to the main. Back to the main. 3x. 5x. X. And I'm back to the main sensor. Let's start things off with the daytime landscape photos, starting with the ultra wide, and you can see the S23 Ultra is definitely going for a more vibrant look, while the Pixel 7 Pro is going for a more muted, neutral look. This carries over to be the same when moving to the main wide sensor as well. Comparing the 3x zoom mode on the S23 Ultra to the 2x zoom on the Pixel 7 Pro, as the S23 Ultra does have a dedicated 3x zoom, it does produce the better image, and also the vibrant look does tone down a little when in the 3x zoom mode. Both have periscope zoom lenses, and the S23 Ultra is at 10x and the Pixel 7 Pro at 5x zoom, and although the reach is further on the S23 Ultra, it does look a little softer, and this is still true when you use the Pixel 7 Pro's super res zoom mode at 10x zoom, which does look sharper. This next set of landscape images in this bowls field is a really tough backlit situation against the direct sun, and from the ultra wide you can really see the S23 Ultra's HDR performance really shine here, pun intended, by controlling the exposure of the sun, the shadow details in the foreground, and subjectively a more vibrant image. In the extended zoom range beyond 3x up to 100x on the S23 Ultra and up to 30x on the Pixel 7 Pro, the image of the Pixel 7 Pro does struggle against the exposure of the sun, while the S23 Ultra hold strong. Both have great minimum focusing distance on their main sensor, and as both the ultra wide cameras do have autofocus built in with macro mode, you can get really close to your subject with great details, and both do a great job here. Let's move over to the selfie, and this is a tough battle as I feel both do a great job. For example, the wider field of view on the Pixel 7 Pro is really good for capturing the scene and for group selfies, but the extra detail and a more pleasing look of the S23 Ultra's selfie is really good as well. This translates to be the same when you move over to the portrait selfie, and the end results of the edge detection and blur are really good on both. But the overall experience of capturing portrait images in real time is a lot better on the S23 Ultra. Last set of daylight images with the rear cameras with me in the frame as a subject from the ultra wide. Although the scenery is more pleasing and vibrant on the S23 Ultra, I actually prefer the look of the Pixel 7 Pro when it comes to skin tones and color. This carries over to be the same on the main wide camera, and as good as the overall picture is on the S23 Ultra, Google's Real Tone is working great here for accurate and also pleasing skin tones. In the zoom range for both the 3x mode for the S23 Ultra and both the 2x and 3x zoom on the Pixel 7 Pro, both are doing a great job and hold the same consistent colors from before. Going to the absolute limit, comparing the 10x on the S23 Ultra versus both the 5x and the 10x mode on the Pixel 7 Pro, the 5x mode on the Pixel 7 Pro holds well with a slight color shift when in 10x, portrait mode on the 1x zoom, and the blur on the Pixel 7 Pro is more aggressive, while the S23 Ultra keeps more detail on me as a subject with a more natural blur fall off. As the Pixel 7 Pro does not have a 3x zoom lens, it crops in even further on the main camera, which is actually already cropped when in the 1x zoom mode. The image quality on the Pixel 7 Pro drops dramatically, with the S23 Ultra producing the better image. Let's move over to low light images with the landscape shots, starting with the ultra wide, and both are struggling here, with the S23 Ultra barely taking a win. Remember, this is without night mode active. Both produce a much cleaner image on the main sensor without night mode, with, not by much, the S23 Ultra potentially looking better in the shadows. In the extended zoom modes, the Pixel 7 Pro is definitely producing a cleaner and less noisy image overall. In this extreme low light situation, showing the difference with night mode off and then night mode on, starting from the ultra wide to the extended zoom at 10x and 5x respectively, the main sensor on the S23 Ultra does produce a cleaner image without night mode active. And with night mode active, although the Pixel 7 Pro produces a brighter and very clean image, the S23 Ultra controls the highlights much better. All things considered, use night mode as often as possible. When moving to the selfie in low light, both are neck and neck with equal features and produce nearly the same results. Where the Pixel 7 Pro takes it is the ability to produce a cleaner image when using the front screen flash in normal and also portrait mode. Last set of low light images using the rear cameras with me in the frame as a subject without night mode active. As expected, the ultra wide is not usable on both. Although you do have a bright image on the main cameras for the S23 Ultra, it does show more noise compared to the darker and cleaner look on the Pixel 7 Pro. Night mode, as always, is the difference maker with both the ultra wide and especially the main sensor seeing a huge boost on the Pixel 7 Pro, and in the extended zoom modes as well. Overall, when it comes to portrait modes, both produce and do a great job, but I would definitely say the Pixel 7 Pro produces better results across the board. Let's now conclude with the video performance, starting off with the selfie. And in terms of overall image quality, the Pixel 7 Pro does a really good job, backed with excellent stabilization and consistent color tones. Where the S23 Ultra takes it is the ability to shoot 4K UHD video portrait mode with background blur adjustment before recording and during the recording process, which the Pixel 7 Pro selfie is missing completely. When it comes to the rear cameras for video, I've got to give Google their props for the Pixel 7 Pro in 4K 60 frames a second for allowing you to switch between all three lenses at the back on the same clip. What Samsung does really well, especially in 4K 30 FPS, is the ability to switch between all the lenses, including the selfie, offering the most seamless video recording experience on a smartphone. In terms of the overall image quality, from the ability to shoot usable 8K video, a cleaner 4K image with less noise and good dynamic range, the ability to shoot 4K video in portrait mode on the main and 3x zoom, the S23 Ultra overall is better for video. That is it with this ultimate camera comparison between the S23 Ultra and the Pixel 7 Pro. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As I said, for me, Ben from Lover of Tech, if you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, Hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.